Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. It's Ro, and today I have a very highly requested tutorial for you, and this is going to be for how I make my mini journals. I have gotten a lot of requests of how I make them from start to finish, so I will be sharing with that to you today, but this is only going to be this video is only going to be how I make the pages. I will be posting another video of how I bind my mini journal together. So yeah, for now I am just going to show you how I begin making them, like how I make the pages, and I will also show you in this video how I add pockets to my journals. This journal that I'm teaching, that I'm giving a tutorial of today, is going to be a very simple journal. I am not going to be adding a lot of like other stuff here, just the pockets. So this is going to be an easy tutorial that I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be able to follow along. So as you can see, I have already made my cover. So this is going to be the cover for my journal. Do not worry, this is just a basic page that I just decorated the front. I will be showing you the way how I do this with the trims in another page that we will be working on, so don't worry about that. First off, the thing that you will need is your base, and to make the base you are going to need a paper measuring 8 by 6 inches. So all your base pages will be like this. And whenever I make my mini journals, I usually do 4 or 5 pages, but for this tutorial we are going to be making 4. And yeah, so once you have your 8 by 6, you will fold it in half on the 8-inch side like this. And this is how it looks. So now you will have your base page. Again, you will be needing a total of 4 or 5. 5 if you want more, but again, for this tutorial I will be using 4 pages. Also, please note that you will see me do 2 at a time. I am actually working, like here I am making 2 journals at the same time, so don't get confused. Just make one of whatever I am making. Up next, when you have your base page, you will also need another page, and this is going to be your 4 by 6. You will be needing a bunch of this because we are going to layer these 4 by 6s onto our base page, because we do want our journals to be sturdy and not flimsy. And I find it that 2 layers, that is a good enough number of layers, just so you have a sturdy journal. So right here I am just showing that that 4 by 6 will go either on top of this star page right here or inside. For this page, I do want to show the stars, so I'm not going to be covering that one. Instead, I will be putting that 4 by 6 here inside. So there's that. And then I suggest, it's a highly suggested highly suggested option that you sew whenever you make journals. It is going to make it much like sturdier, and it will look even like better. Here I am showing that if you do want to decorate a page like this one right here, like just a cut apart, you can do it now before you sew your two pages together. So because you are sewing, you want to sew your embellishments or whatever you need. If you are indeed sewing your embellishments or like journaling pages or anything that you want to stick and sew, you want to do that now before you sew your two pages together. So here I am just showing what you can do, but I am actually not going to be putting this cut apart here. I wanted to keep this page blank. However, the other page, the 4x6, the yellow one, I will be adding a cut apart on for that one. So for this page, this particular page, I am going to be adding, I wanted to do a secret pocket, like a secret side pocket, and this is how you do it. Please make sure you follow along, because sometimes, like, if you forget to do this part, like, and then you sew them together, like, you will kind of like ruin your page. Here I am showing that before you sew those two pieces together, the two pages together, you will want to sew the side of your base, how I showed earlier, how I pointed earlier, and then don't worry, I will be showing that again later on. But for now, I am just going to add my cut apart and this on this 4x6 page, so we can start putting this first page together. So that is a cut apart that I picked, and then I usually lightly glue it onto my paper before I sew, just so I don't need to clip it in place. Here's my tip: if you don't do this, if you don't already do this, whenever I glue before I sew, I don't put a lot of glue. I just put a dab of glue, just so if I make a mistake in gluing, I could always like take it off with no problem, since there's not much glue on it. So yeah, there's that. Also, here's another tip. I am not the best when it comes to gluing straight. So what I do is I intentionally glue, like whenever I put, for example, like a cut apart like this, what I usually do is I intentionally glue it at an angle like this one. So now you can see that I already sewed the cut apart in place. So that's the back. And then what we need to do, because I said I wanted a side pocket, a side secret pocket, what you want to do is you want to sew one side of these two pages first before you sew them together. So because you want that side pocket, you want to sew this one right here first, and then for this one you want to sew this side. However, I will show you a little later on when I'm done sewing how how I sewed that piece. So here it is. So what I did here is I actually flipped this on the wrong side, and this is how I sewed it. So you are going to sew on the wrong side, but please make sure you are going to sew on the left side if you are looking at the right side of the paper. Oh my goodness, I hope you've understood that one. But this is how it looks. Just look closely. You can see right now that the stitching is on the wrong side, and later on you will see why I am doing that way. I am so sorry, like I am not the best when it comes to giving tutorials, but if you have any questions, please let me know. Ask down below so I can help you out. And then now that we have sewn those one sides, we are gonna clip these two pieces together. So that's our base and our 4x6. And then we are now ready to sew the 3 remaining sides that weren't sewn yet. So maybe now you realize the reason why we sewed that one side first without sewing them together, like without sewing those 2 pages together, because we do want that pocket. So now we are going to sew these 3 sides, leaving this one side here because we have the pocket right there. So make sure you don't forget that. Now let me sew it, and now they are done. So right here, if you look at the back, you can see that the stitching, all the stitchings are facing, like they are the wrong side stitching. And that is why earlier I said to like flip this 4x6 and sew on the wrong side. Just so when you sew the other sides together, like the 3 sides, and then when you're done sewing all the sides, you can see that the stitchings are all the same. They will look the same. Okay, now you have the secret side pocket. So a very simple pocket. Whenever I make my journals, I really want to maximize the space, which is why I love adding pockets to my journals. So now we're actually done with 2 pages, the front and back. Now we proceed to this page right here. So again, all throughout the tutorial, you will be needing a lot of the 4x6 pieces of paper to layer your pages. So up next, we are going to work on that other page, and for that we are going to be using just one piece of 4x6. Please do not follow me here showing you 3 pieces of 4x6. Again, I am working on 2 journals, so on this video I am using 2 4x6, but again, you are only going to need 1 piece of 4x6. Here I decided to also make this page a simple page, but I am just adding a sticker onto the lower right corner just so it has a little bit of design. Again, like I said earlier, if you want to sew something on a specific page, make sure you sew them first before you stick or before you sew your 4x6 onto your base page. So just adding the sticker, and then I am going to sew this, and then we are going to proceed. Oh yeah, also for this page I wanted to add a little bit of texture, a little bit of dimension, so I went ahead and grabbed this puffy sticker, heart puffy sticker, and then I just added one on the top right side, top left side. So there I am saying that again, you sew this first before doing anything else. Okay, now we have finished sewing the sticker, and like both our stickers, the puffy and the sticker, the flat one, the cardstock sticker. So let us bring back our base page. So that is the back, and it is gonna go here. Once you have sewn those stickers together and you have figured out what you want to do on the back of your base page, then you can now put your trims. Yeah, for this is going to be the first time you will be adding trims. So for this, I'm going to be using this yellow pom-pom trim. I usually measure my trim first and cut them before I sew them in. Okay, so this is what I usually do when I sew in a trim. I would either use paper clips just by itself, just by themselves, just paper clips, or I use a glue. Sometimes when I work with trims and I want to use glue, I use either a fabric glue, or a silicone glue. So for this video, I am going to be using a silicone glue. So this was given to me by my friend Ines. Hi Ines, thank you for this glue. I love this glue so much. So I use this because I love how it sticks. Like it really works well with fabric and trim. So that's why I love using this. So the reason why I sometimes use glue whenever I work with trims is because it makes it easier when it's time to stitch it. It's easier since the glue will keep the trim in place. So it doesn't move, it's not gonna move anymore when you start sewing it. It also works if you use the clips, but sometimes when you are sewing it, the trims will still move. So if you have any glue there that will work well with trims, then I suggest you glue them first and then clip them just to make it secure, really secure, and then you sew the trim onto your page. I do not know if regular wet glue works with trims. You can try it. But yeah, for this, this is what I used. Please note that for this video, the trims that I'm using, I am going to sandwich them. I always like put them in between two pages instead of putting the trims directly on top of a page, because I do not want to see those edges of the trims. I want my pages to look cleaner, so that is why we are going to sandwich it in between two pages. Here you can see that I am gluing the trim inside, like on the base page, and then when we when we sew that 4x6 on top of this, so you will not see the edge of that trim. Again, if you decide to follow this tutorial and you hit a snag, if you have problems or need any help, please let me know. You can comment down below or message me on Instagram, and then I'll help you however I can. So this is how it looks. Don't worry about that overhang, like the extra trim hanging on top. We are going to trim that later on. So now, as I said, here's a 4x6, and this is going to go on top of our base page. And with that, once we sew it, you will not see the edge of that trim anymore. So your page looks cleaner. Now I am just going to add this clip just to keep the two pages in place. So one on the top, one on the bottom. And then next thing we're going to do is we are going to sew around. Well, I went ahead and added one more clip. So you're going to sew around so you can finish this first, the first full page that we're working on. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, like in the beginning of the video, this is how I made my front cover, my front and the back. So very simple. I just sandwiched that trim, the edge of the trim, in between two pages, two layers, and sewed it together. So now that we have that, like I said, we are just going to sew all the sides. And then once we're done with that, we are done with this full page. And here you go. It is done, and this is what we have so far. And there's that. And then let's go grab our covers and put them in. And I made a mistake with this one. I realized I put the cover inside. And there, that is when I realized I did the wrong thing. So, if you can see here, if you quickly saw a peek at that, you notice that the patterns of my paper are like the same, like next to each other, like that. You can see here that those pages are like the same. The two pages are the same. So later on, when we work on our next page, I will actually make that next page into the second page, just so my the patterns of the paper won't like be next to each other. So this is what we have so far, and now we are ready to work on our next page. So next page, we are going to grab again our 6x8, and here I am pointing out that what I said earlier, that they have the same print. So I am saying that I am going to use this next page as our next page. So that's also one thing you have to check out whenever you're making your pages, just to take a peek at what you've already done and see if the prints are the right prints. They are like on the right spots, so you can switch things up before you bind your journal. So again, here we have our 8x6 and just folding it in half. And then for this page, we are going to be making another page with a pocket. So this time, this is just going to be a side pocket, not a secret pocket, just a side pocket. And for that, you are going to grab another piece of 4x6 and you are going to cut that down until you have a 2x6. So whenever you're making a mini journal, you are going to get a lot of 4x6s, so just make sure you save that, because you will be needing it all throughout the process of making a mini journal. Here I am cutting down the 4x6 into two 2x6s. Again, you are just going to need one because you are just making one journal. So this pocket is going to go this way. But what I usually do whenever I make side pockets is I tear the sides. That's all thanks to Shara Crane. I have always admired how she makes her journals. She inspires me whenever I make one myself, and I love doing this. It gives it a like not just a rough edge, but it also gives your page character. And yeah, so whenever I make journals, I usually, like for most of the time, I add like a page that has this tearing technique. So just finishing that up. And this pocket right here, just like any other page that you are working on, if you want to decorate it with a sticker or a die cut, an ephemera, or anything wherein you want to sew them in place, you want to sew them first before you sew this pocket piece onto that base page. So here I wanted to add a sticker. I didn't want to leave it blank, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a sticker. So I am going to grab my sticker sheet. I do not have any ephemera for this collection. For most of the time, I just use sticker sheets because they're already included in the kit. So yeah, I use them as ephemera, as die cuts. Here I picked my sticker and I decided not to sew this. Let's just say I got lazy and didn't want to sew the whole thing because it is a big sticker and I didn't want to go sewing like around the whole thing. So I just went ahead and just stuck that sticker, and that was a wrap for me. But again, if you want to sew, you are going to sew first before you sew that pocket piece onto your base page. Just adding a sticker to this other one. And then that will be it. That's going to be it for our pocket. So that is going to go there. We are going to clip those in place. You see how it took me a long time before like clipping it. I was trying to I was debating if I sew it or not. So yeah, I ended up not sewing it. Now we are going to clip that. And then a little later, I will point out something. So there's that. Let's just work on the other one. Okay, and this is now what I want to point out. As you can see, we that that spot right there with the pocket, it is already 2 layers. However, this right here, it's just 1 layer. So we do not want that. Again, like I said earlier, we want our pages to be sturdy. So what we are going to do is we are going to add another piece, another 4x6, which will go in the back. And that will make our page at least 2 layers. Even if a paper is double-sided, it is still not, for me, it is still not sturdy enough. Plus, because we are adding trims, you will definitely need at least 2 layers to sandwich those trim edges. So for this 4x6, I decided I wanted to add another cut apart. So I'm just going to pick out from my stash right here. And again, like I said earlier, lightly glue and sew around first before we put our two pages together. And then also for this page, we are going to add a trim. I like to add as many trims as I can. It makes the side of our journals like really cute. So now that those cut aparts are sewn onto the 4x6, let's flip that back. And it is gonna go right there. Now as you can see, we have 3 layers on that edge. The trim, please make sure that you want to put your trim in between those 2 bigger pieces. So that's how it is. I'll do the same thing with the other one. Again, go grab your trim and please make sure that you insert your you insert your trims in between the bigger pages and not behind that the pocket, not behind that pocket piece right there. We want to make sure that since our pocket is not big enough, we want to make sure that we can use all the space inside that pocket. So we do not want the edge of the trim to be under that pocket piece. And here I am just saying that if you do not want to add a trim, you can go ahead and just sew all around. But as I said, I wanted to add a trim, so I am gonna grab my trim, and this is the one I picked. So for this page, I am going to be using a tassel trim. And then like before, I measure it just to make sure how long or short my trim is going to be. clip your trims in place and then sew around, and once you're done, this is what you have. Then I did the same thing for the other one, and then you insert it into your already done pages. So as I said, I put that as a second page, the new page that we did, and now we're almost done with our third page. So let's just put that back to the side, and now we are gonna work on the other side of this base page, which is this polka dot side. So for this page, I believe I just made this into a simple blank page with a little bit of sticker on a corner. Also, grab your 4x6. Again, when you are picking your papers, make sure that you are picking the right ones and they are not going to be the same as like the page that will be next to it once you put all your pages, all your journal pages together. So for this page, this is what I wanted to do for the 4x6 pages. I grabbed my cut apart, again another simple page, and put a little dab of glue to put that cut apart in place, and then sew around. Once you have sewn those in place, you're done with that. Now you bring back your base page, and figure out what you want to do, if you want to decorate that page or leave it blank. So here again, I am just checking out what the patterns on my other pages look like, so I know what to do with this page right here. So let's bring back our sticker sheet, and I am gonna be picking another sticker just to slightly decorate my page. I know I didn't want to cover the whole page because that polka dot is really cute. So I'm just gonna grab this sticker right here, and oh my goodness, it is a round sticker. I have a love and hate relationship with anything that's round that I need to sew, because again, whenever I sew, sometimes I sew okay, sometimes my sewing is crooked, especially when I sew like shapes that aren't straight, like not straight lines. But cross fingers that we sew okay today. So there's that. And then I am gonna sew this and hope for the best. So we did sew, and look at this. I think I did okay today, so that is good. And we are done with that page. And then this page, this is another pocket page. I forgot to tell you, but this time it is going to be a secret top pocket, if you can call it that. So the sewing, the pocket will be on top. And just like how we did the secret side pocket, this is also like the same technique that we are going to use. We are going to use when we sew this together. So first, before sewing those two pages, you want to sew the top, only the top side of that base page and your 4x6 page. So there's that. That's what I pointed. And here, that's the top of our 4x6. And again, make sure that you flip it and sew on the wrong page, just like what we did earlier. And that is gonna go that way, and then we are going to clip. For this page, I believe I added a trim, so let's clip the pages together first, and then let us add our trim to the side. This time I did not use a glue to secure the trim. Just went ahead and clip them together with the clip the trim in between our two pages. But again, if it makes it easier for you, or if you are more comfortable with gluing the trim first, go ahead. Usually for me, when my trims have when the edges of my trims are thick, I can go ahead and just clip it, because I know it's easier to when I use a clip, it'll hold more of the edge of the trim. And you can see there that my trim, the edge of my trim is indeed like thick, which is why I'm just gonna clip it in between my two pages. So here I am just inserting the trim, sandwich it between those two pages, and then after that I am just going to move my clip just so it will hold that trim in place. And once you put that clip, once your trim is in place, you go ahead and sew the three sides. Remember, this is a pocket page, so just sew three sides and leave that top side alone, because we do want that pocket. And once you're done sewing the three sides, we now have our secret top pocket, and that's how it looks. And with that, we are fully done with our page. So let's just insert that, and then we are gonna put that to the side because we are gonna work on our last page. So put that to the side and go grab again another piece of your 8 by 6 and fold it in half, and also grab your 4 by 6s. Okay, on to our last page. So this is what I picked for my base page. Another polka dot page with, like in the front, with those kind of like buttons. They look like buttons. So there's that. And then we do have our 4 by 6. And for this, we are going to cut 2 pieces of 4 by 6. They have to be different patterns, and cut them into 2 by 6s. For you, you are only going to need 2 pieces of 2 by 6. So if you like both sides of a just one piece of 4 by 6, you can just like flip it to the other side, so you now have 2 patterns. And here we are again doing the tearing technique. You are going to do the same thing for the other piece. Also, a reminder that if you are using a pattern paper that is directional, please make sure that you tear this way, so like whatever side it's facing you, like when you're looking at right now, and you are going to tear on the right side. Sometimes that's the tricky part when you are working with paper that has a specific direction that it's going to, because you want to make sure that you are sticking them on the right, like the right way. So there's that. And then what we're going to do is, this is going to be just a simple page. However, we are going to add a little bit of design just by adding like different prints of paper. Instead of adding like stickers or adding cut aparts, we're going to add different pattern paper. So here I am gluing. See how I just glued on one side, and that is a side where I tear, like where I did the tearing. And then I am going to stick this just 1 inch away from the left corner of the page. Again, only put your glue on the right side, like the right corner, like where you did the tearing, you put your glue there, right here. And then this one, this piece, I am just gonna glue up until the edge, until the corner of that page. And now if you see, we now have a page with 3 different patterns. So that's another very simple way of decorating a page without doing a lot. So here on the side, I just showed that there is an opening, and that is why we did not glue on that side, because we are going to add trim. So we needed that opening right there. So here I am just gonna do the same thing on my other page. And then once you are done with this part, you go ahead and grab a trim. Once you have picked your trim, you go ahead and cut them into the right size, the right length, and then do the same thing as we did the other pages when we included trims. Just sandwich in between 2 of the pieces of paper. Again, that is why the paper earlier we did not glue it. We didn't glue the other side onto our base, because we do want that to be open so we can insert this trim. So let's just sandwich that trim right there, and then like clip it in place. Again, if you are using glue, you can glue it in place and then clip it, just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere when you start sewing it. And then now I am gonna do the same thing with the other one, and then we are gonna sew all around 4 sides. Now once you're done with that, you put that to the side, and we are going to grab another piece of 4x6 because we are going to add another type of pocket, and I will explain why after we cut this down into 2x6. So now we have the 2x6, and what we're going to do is we are going to do the tearing technique again. This time I am going to do it both sides, just because this pocket is not going to be placed in the corner. So I'm just showing you another way of like making pockets. If you do want to put this in the corner, then you do not need to rib the other side. Like do the same way we did with the page that had the adventure sticker. So you can do it that way. But again, as I said, I am just showing another way you can make a pocket and add a pocket onto your page. So just tearing the paper. And then here you can decide if you want to decorate this piece or not. Again, if you want to decorate it, you go ahead and add your decorations. If you want to sew them, so you sew it right now before you put this strip onto the base page and sew them together. So you want to decorate first and then sew first. So here I am just adding more stickers just to decorate it, and I am also not sewing the stickers, so I'm just sticking them. Now when you're done with that, let's go grab our base page back, and this is what why I am doing this type of pocket. We are gonna put this on this side, and if you're wondering why, it is because if you noticed, when we did the back page, we did not cover the entire page. So there's that one spot with a polka dot. That's just one layer. Remember, when we are making our journals, we want them to be at least 2 layers just so they are sturdy. And so that is why we are putting this pocket on this side right here, just so this can be like part of that like second layer to make that polka dot piece, like the polka dot side, to make it a little sturdy. And then we just clip that in place. And then we're going to sew right there. And we are going to sew right here. And once we're done with that, we will have a pocket. So this is how it looks. So it's open on the other side, but yeah, just another way you can make a pocket for your journals. And here, this is what I'm saying when that polka dot part right there on our left is not the right, not what I was pointing out. It's just one layer, so we wanted to add that pocket and stick it there so that polka dot piece is like sturdy. And with that, we are almost done. Now we only have the last side, the right side of our page. For the last page, I am just going to make this simple just because we are almost done, and the video is quite long. It's already getting long, so we want to finish this up quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick my cut apart and then see what I want to put on that black and white polka dot page and wrap it up. So I think this one's cute. That is a good match with the black and white polka dots. And then, like how we do our pages, if we have the cut apart, lightly glue, and then stick that thing. Then again, you sew it before you add your 4x6 and before you sew those two like pages together. For here, here's another tip. If you are sewing and you want to add an extra maybe design to your sewing without doing the extra work, if you get what I mean, what you can do is just use a running stitch and run around your cut apart 2 times, like what I did here, and then don't sew your line straight. Do like a wavy line, and then you do 2 rounds just so it has that like quirky look. And yeah, just another tip, because I do have, like, my sewing machine does have other stitches, but I don't really have time for that. Let's just say I am close to the end of this project and I just want to be done. I want it done because I'm excited to just like finish it. And then there we picked our 4x6. And then of course we are gonna pick our last pom-pom trim, and to finish it off I wanted to add pink because you know me, you know I love pink, and I try to incorporate as much pink as I can whenever I make projects. And then I just sewed it. I actually added a sticker in the back. You saw me point to that balloon sticker in the back page. So there is that. And then we just put that page in the middle. That is going to be our middle page. And this is what we have. So really cute, really chunky journals. And we are done. So there you go, guys. This is just a very simple tutorial to make your journal. I hope you come back for another video where we are going to bind this together. And that is it for now. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!